Welcome to another edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary, the series that takes a critical look at Scripture, pointing out its numerous errors, contradictions, and fallacies. This program teaches a kind of Sunday school in reverse by giving you the biblical information that you should have heard but didn't. With millions of Americans hearing a totally one-sided presentation of the Bible, balance is greatly needed. Only when people are given both sides of an issue can a truly objective analysis be possible. And here to provide the alternative perspective is the editor of Biblical Errancy Newsletter, Mr. Dennis McKenzie.
Welcome to the 33rd edition of Biblical Errancy Commentary. We're pleased you've joined us. We thought we'd depart during this program from our normal critique of the Bible by analyzing some of the most common defenses used by the book's defenders. In any encounter with biblicist, knowing their arguments beforehand is very important. Freethinkers must not only know the book, but also be aware of the arguments most often used by the book's supporters. So be prepared for the following excuses. First, you're taking verses out of context. If I've heard this excuse once, I've heard it 100 times. Freethinkers are supposedly extracting one verse while ignoring all those in the immediate vicinity. Not true is the only sensible reply. One need only go to Proverbs, for example, to see that in many instances there is no context. The narrative is just a series of unrelated statements that leap from topic to topic. One need only read the verses verbatim to see that nothing is being taken out of context. That's a grossly unfair and inaccurate criticism in hundreds of instances. Many conflicts between the books of Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles, to cite another example, involve nothing more than numbers and figures, which aren't open to interpretation or the contextual argument. If anyone really is taking verses out of context, it's the biblicists who find dozens of prophecies of Jesus in the Old Testament by selectively isolating and distorting certain passages. That's a topic we'll cover later. Second, another argument one can expect to hear is the copyist defense. Biblicists will concede the book has contradictions, but contend that's because somebody incorrectly copied the original manuscripts. On page 15 in the book entitled All About the Bible, apologist Sidney Collett says, quote, "But in spite of all this painful care, mistakes did creep in, as the documents now in existence show. For this work of copying was, after all, human. Perhaps one of the most striking cases of a copyist error is found in the age of Isaiah, 2 Kings 8:26, stating that he was 22 years old when he began to reign, while 2 Chronicles 22:2 says he was 42. Now, none of the original documents in our possession help us in this at all, so that it is evidently due to an error of a very early copyist," unquote. How does he know they were copied incorrectly? And where are these original documents that are now in our possession? No doubt hundreds of scholars would like to have that question answered. On page 94, in the book entitled I'm Glad You Asked, apologists Boa and Moody say, quote, "Errors have crept into the biblical text through scribal mistakes and modernization. For example, 1 Kings 4:26 states that Solomon had 40,000 stalls for his chariots, but 2 Chronicles 9:25 says that the figure is 4,000. Now this is a biblicist speaking. The exaggerated figure in 1 Kings is a common scribal error due to similarity in numerical notation. Also compare 2 Samuel 10:18 with 1 Chronicles 19:18, unquote. But how does he know that's true? Since everyone agrees, we have no copies of the originals. Anything we have, any translation, be it the King James, the Revised Standard, the New American Standard, the New International, and so forth, is merely a book composed by a group of people looking at a collection of documents that purport to be accurate representations of the originals that no longer exist. We have thousands of documents and no valid way of knowing which have copyist errors and which do not. In too many instances, estimates, guesstimates, and votes have determined the outcome. Third, another argument you can expect to confront is that freethinkers are unqualified to criticize because they don't know Greek and Hebrew. You have to know these languages in order to understand the original meaning. In truth, you don't have to be a scholar in either. On page 20, in a work entitled Bible Difficulties, fundamentalist Arndt admitted as much when he said, quote, "With the various revised versions at hand, with an analytical concordance, with reliable commentaries, and with the help of dictionaries of the Bible, the reader need not know Greek or Hebrew to verify the original meaning of a passage. He has in his mother tongue the means whereby he may determine the correctness of most of the obscure translations," unquote. One does not need to know Greek and Hebrew to ask questions like most of those we ask.